Hey guys, what's up? This is The Creative Janae. Here I'll be showing you guys how I create my starburst animations in my intro videos using After Effects. So if you're interested in seeing how I created those, then keep on watching. So the first thing you're going to do is open up After Effects. And after you have After Effects open, we're going to go ahead and click on New Composition. And let's just name this Starburst. We're going to keep all of our default settings in After Effects the same, width at 1920, height at 1080, frame rate 29.97 frames, resolution full, and the duration, let's change this to 3 seconds. I think that's enough time. Background color, let's choose like a yellow goldish color since it's like the fall time. Hit OK. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do in After Effects is create a line. And so how you do that, you go up to your pen tool up at the top. And then after you have hit your pen tool, we're going to make sure the fill is selected off. So you're going to just click on fill and then just make sure that it's on the first option, none. And then for the stroke, we're going to change the color here. Let's change it to white. Hit OK. And then for our width of our line, let's change this to about 20 pixels. Alright, so then we're just going to click on our line. We're just going to click once and then hold down our shift key and then drag up a little bit and click again. So now we've created one line. Go back up to our selection tool. And so in our panel below, in our layers panel, you can see that when we selected, we have a little icon down here with circle and some lines coming out of it. That's our anchor tool. And so we want to make sure that's like right underneath of our line. So when we start animating, the animation will start from the center. So go back up to your pan behind anchor point tool, and we just want to drag that right below our line. Looks good. Awesome. So we're ready to start since the anchor point's right underneath. So after we've moved our anchor point, we're going to go ahead and do our first part of our animation. So when we hit our layers panel, we're going to hit the drop down, and then right across from contents, we're going to go over to our add button, and then we're going to add trim path. So what trim paths does is allows us to animate our line onto the screen. So when we go under trim paths 1, we're going to hit the drop down menu, and then you'll see a start and an end keyframe. And so here we're going to actually use the M keyframe to start because we want our animation to start from the bottom and animate up. So over where end is, we're going to move in time 15 seconds. And then we're going to hit a keyframe here and keep our percentage at 100%. And then we're going to scroll back in time to the beginning of our timeline and set another keyframe at 0%. So now when we play it, you'll see it's animating up on our screen. Looks good. And I just want to make this a little bit more dynamic. So what I'm going to do is actually set another keyframe here, and we're going to use our start for this because as our line is animating on, we want it to start animating off at the bottom. So we're going to go back in time here. We're going to scroll in time at about 8 frames. And we're going to set a keyframe here at 0%. And then we're going to scroll in time to about 25 frames. And we're going to set another keyframe at 100%. So now when we play it, we can see that it's animating on, but then as it's animating on, it's animating off. So I like how that's looking. That's looking really good. So now I just want to add a smoother effect to my animation. So I'm just going to drag and then select all of my keyframes. So drag and select. And then I'm going to go and click on Control, and then all the way at the bottom you'll see where it says Keyframe Assistant, and I'm going to hit Easy Ease, and for short it's F9. Now I'm going to scroll and play. So I'm really liking how that looks. So now the next step is just creating repeaters for my line here. So in order to do that, go back up to the top where it says Contents, and then over across from Contents we'll see Add, and then Add Repeater. And here you'll see it brought up Repeater 1. We're going to hit the drop down menu here. And when we start scrolling, you can see that it gave us some more lines here, some more repeated lines. So we can change the number of copies that we have. I'm going to change it to 6. So now we have 6 repeating lines from our first animation. So we don't have to animate anything new. These lines are automatically just copies of the first line that we've created. And so now, instead of it being lines going across, we actually want this to form a circle. So if you like this effect, you can also use this animation, but we want these lines to actually form a star circle shape. And here under rotation, we're going to change our rotation to about 60 degrees. And here you can see it made my lines all jumbly, but that's okay. We're going to fix that in just a sec. So now under position, we're actually going to change this to 0 in the first column. And this actually affects my x-axis. So you can see this gave it a swirl effect, but I want my lines to form more of a circular shape. So what I'm going to do is mess with my anchor point. So underneath anchor point, across from that, I'm going to mess with my x-axis value. So in order to change this, I'm going to just use my cursor and scroll to the left. So I want it to be about here. I think that's good. So at -33, my lines are matching up pretty well. So now when I play it, I get like a perfect star shape. So one more thing I want to do to this animation is create a scale. As my lines are moving on the screen, I want to actually make the scale of my star smaller and then get larger as it's animating on. So in order to do that, I'm going to collapse everything on my screen. And under Contents, we'll see there's a Transform tool. So under Transform, I'm going to hit the drop down menu here, and I'm going to go under Scale. And here I'm going to set a keyframe here at 0%. And then I'm going to scroll ahead of time to about 10 frames. I'm going to set another keyframe here at 100%. Then when I play it, you can see my star is getting larger as the lines are animating onto the screen. Really like how that's looking. So the last thing I'm going to do here is make the shape of my lines a little rounder. So I'm going to go actually back up to Shape 1 underneath Contents, and underneath Stroke 1, I'm actually going to go under Line Cap and change this to Round Cap. And now you can see my lines are a little bit rounder, but this is definitely a preference. So if you like the way your lines look square, you can leave them like that, but I wanted the ends of my lines to be rounded. So I really like how that's looking. So now's the fun part. So now we can definitely make duplicates of this one animation. And so you can play with different sizing, different colors. And so what I'm going to do is create a duplicate layer of my first shape layer by hitting Command D on my keyboard or Control D for a PC. And we're going to change the color of this layer to like a fuchsia. And we're going to move ahead of time a little bit. And then I'm just going to move my second layer over so you can actually see it playing with the other star. We're going to change the color here to, let's change it to like a purple color. Cool. And now we're going to play. Now you can see I have two stars popping up here. And then I just want to change this a little bit. So I'm going to try to make my line here, my stroke a little bit thicker. About like 51 pixels. And then we're actually going to just make the star, the actual size of the star, a little bit smaller here. And then I move this down a little bit. I'm liking how that's looking. Okay, so now I'm just going to add one more starburst to this family. I'm going to again go back and make a duplicate of this layer by hitting Command D on my keyboard, Control D for PC, move in time a little bit, and let's just change the color to yellow on this layer. Now I'm just going to move my starburst over, and let's change the color here to like an orangey reddish color. I should have stayed with the fall colors, but that's okay. So now I'm going to move in time again and hit play. Now I have three cool starbursts happening. And I want to change this one up a little bit. Let's go back into our scale, right underneath our transform layer. And here we just want to make sure that you are changing the scale of the last keyframe you created. So you don't want to move in time because then you will have another keyframe that will be made. So you just want to make sure you're on the last keyframe that you created and changing the percentage here. So we're going to make this pretty huge just so we can have some contrast here. Then at the top, we just want to change the stroke weight a little bit. I think that's good. About like 28% or 28 pixels. And then we're going to hit play. I really like how that's looking. And there you go. So you have three cool starburst effects happening. And you can even get crazy with this. You can twirl your lines around. You can change the shape of your line within your pen tool. Just clicking it, and you can actually add another point on your line by clicking, and then you can just play with the shape of your anchor point. And there you go. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If it was, feel free to like this video and subscribe, and then leave a comment below if there's anything that you would like to learn in After Effects. Just let me know in the comments and I'll try to make a video for it. Until next time, I will catch you in my next video. See you later.